Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome. Sorry for the delay. I was having some internet problems, but happy to be here. And we have Arian back today. I'm excited. Yay! Arian. So today I wanted to. Anyway, if you are new to the carnivore diet, welcome. I would just to make sure everyone is clear, carnivore diet is one where we're eating a meat-based diet. We're eating primarily from the animal kingdom, although some people have some amount of plant products, not really as dependent on their goals. So if that's not of interest to you, or you don't want to hear about or learn about eating more meat, this is not the video for you. So you don't have to waste your time.
What? What are you doing on this? What are you doing on this channel though? If that's not for you,
I it happens. It happens definitely. So I
mm.
don't know. I don't know how people get here, but in any event, just to be clear, and so yeah, tonight we're going to talk about doing following the carnivore diet and when you might need to quit following it if you need to. So I think this is a good conversation to have and kind of figure out for you like whether this is working, whether it's something that you want to continue to do, and let's talk about it. So let me just take a look at the chat first. So Johnny G, Johnny G is going to kick off the conversation with, I bet no one comments on the new hairdo. Yeah, so this is very noticeable. I have a new hairdo, and it's a very dramatic and different look. I've gotten different hairdos before, and they didn't look, so different. So thank you, Mommy Does Keto. Yes, and in fact, it's funny that you say that because these are goddess locks. So
Nice.
yes, I am looking like a goddess because I purchased goddess locks. Okay, Frank has a ribeye in the air fryer. Awesome. Sounds like a delicious dinner. And Linda, hey, in Raleigh, North Carolina, and your first time here for the live stream. Awesome. Welcome. And I'm so glad you like the hair. I made so many new friends at KetoCon, met lots of people. It seems like the whole world is from North Carolina, I gotta say. So I'm meeting people all over the place who are from here. So how exciting. And I am going to have to put together a casual North Carolina meetup. So can't do a whole lot of planning, but if you have a barbecue place that rocks and is totally awesome, let me know because I'm ready to come. I love barbecue. There's only a handful of really good places in Charlotte, so yeah, I'm ready to go. Ready. Hey, Portia, welcome. Hey, Linda, awesome. Okay, yeah, Portia, brand new look. But I love it. I think I may keep doing it for a while. So it'll be nice to, take a break from some of the more damaging styles. Um, okay, so Portia wants to meet at Longhorn and have a steak in North Carolina. That sounds awesome. I'm down for that too. Okay. All right, so let's dive right in. So the question is, when should you quit carnivore, or is it time for you to quit? And I would say the number one thing I would think is if you're not focused, like if you're not able to kind of stay on it, I think adding like bulletproof coffees and adding sticks of butter and then also having donuts and pizza is not a good combination. So what do you think, Arian?
What version of the carnivore diet is that? Where's that on the chart?
Well, I'm saying like if you're not able to get focused, because I know like when I was first getting started, um, especially when I was doing keto, I'd have like a great keto breakfast and a great keto lunch, and then like by dinner, I don't know, somebody would be like, "Hey, let's go for drinks," and blah blah blah, and by 2 a.m. like I'm way off. So I feel like at a certain point I needed to just stop and just say, okay, I'm like taking a break from keto and I'm gonna do standard American drink all night diet. I don't know, find the right combination that's hitting all the points so that I can like wait till I get focused again. Because what would happen is I would load up on butter and stuff like that, thinking that it would help me to fight cravings later on. But I would end up having lots of butter and also lots of chocolate. And that wasn't wasn't a good way to go. And
Yeah,
mhm,
I've had a couple of times like that. The last one lasted for years where I didn't fully quit, but I just decided like I'm going to eat the treats that I want to eat too.
mhm,
And yeah, that's happened a few times where for various reasons. The first time I was doing paleo and it was just too expensive, but then like
mhm,
I ended up falling into something that's kind of sad and kind of like maybe halfway or two-thirds the thing that I was doing before.
mhm,
So it's healthier, but still not
mhm,
good. And yeah, I imagine, especially for the people who want to be carnivore, they're looking for the health benefits and they're not seeing them, but then they're also not actually following it. Like you might as well just stop, um, because you're going to keep being frustrated that you're not getting the results that you're looking for, but you're not doing the thing that would get you that result. So just stop and wait till a time where you can actually stick to it for at least a while. Give it the 30-day challenge.
mhm. Yeah. And I think that it's always a good idea to add meat to your diet. If nothing else, I think that meat can edge out other things. But when you're trying to do things like adding a lot of butter to increase your fat, I don't know I don't know that that gives you enough of a benefit to be worth it when you're also like eating all kinds of other stuff. So if you start your day with scrambled eggs and bacon, then I think that that's going to set you up just to have a better day. Even if you do have donuts and cake later, you're still going to have a better day because you started out that way. But if you start out with a bulletproof coffee, I don't know that you end up with a better day. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I don't know. What do you think?
It's, I think there is a certain group of people for whom they can drink a bulletproof coffee and then like really not eat anything for the next however many hours. Like it really does replace a meal for them, and I think that works. They're getting their fat. They definitely need to eat some meat later because there's no protein in that coffee. But if that successfully keeps you away from carbs and like
But
if
we're,
it's
we're
working
not
for
talking
you,
about the
then sure.
successful people. We're not talking about the successful
Oh,
people. We're
right, right,
talking
right.
about the
Because
ones who do that and then have donuts and cake and whatever later on.
yeah, like then I guess that's the protein leverage
Mhm.
hypothesis thing that folks are talking about. Like, yeah, because if you have, I've had days, I've had plenty of days early in my carnivore times, and whenever I'm like falling backwards, that like I'll have a really carnivore meal along with a not so carnivore meal, and I still feel better than if I had completely stopped. But that carnivore meal always has meat. It's never just fat. Yeah, I think
Mhm. How do you feel
most
if
people.
you have the sugary or standard American diet meal first and then the carnivore meal?
Oh, I don't even know. I can't think of the last time that I did that. Like standard American, like maybe having like a biscuit with a bunch of meat, like doesn't change
Mhm.
anything for me. I basically
Mhm.
feel about the same. But if I was to have like a really like the way I used to eat, where the most meat I would have would be if I had a breakfast sandwich. It would have sausage and egg, but it was also going to have toast and
Mhm.
jelly, and I was probably going to have something like milk or something to drink, and some fruit probably. I don't think I've eaten like that. And then while I was carnivore, I
Mhm.
imagine I imagine it would turn out worse because then I'm going to have the whole day to have cravings.
Mhm. Mhm. Maybe I am just like super sensitive because like even as a kid, like I loved pancakes. That was my thing. That was what I always wanted. So anytime I got an opportunity to order breakfast, I got pancakes. But I had to have some kind of breakfast meat and I had to eat that first. If I didn't eat it first, I was going to have a horrible stomach ache and I was going to feel horrible. But if I ate it first, the sausage or the bacon, then then it would be not perfect, but okay. And now in retrospect, I can see that essentially what was happening is my blood sugar was spiking super high when I had the pancakes. But if I had the sausage or the bacon first, that kind of slowed down that skyrocketing blood sugar. And
Mm,
so I clearly this was going to be a problem. I mean, from the get go, sugar was just not going to be my friend. But so I notice if I start out a day with bacon and eggs, it's always going to be a better day, even if the rest of the day becomes a mess. But if I start out with like, I don't know, oatmeal or a muffin or cake or whatever, and then I decide to try to go carnivore at lunch, I'm still going to have more cravings. I'm still not going to feel as well. So there's an importance to the order there too. And I don't know, I guess you haven't really noticed that, but for those of you in the chat, let me know. Have you noticed that too? Like, does it matter the order that you eat the food in? Because it definitely does for me.
that's very interesting. I've never heard of it being that apparent that there is that the difference matters. That's wow.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry that the order matters.
Hmm. Yeah. It did for me, definitely. So Evelyn asked, can I take a cup of coffee first thing in the morning? Yes, absolutely. That is fine. So, and it is, and I was talking about specifically like bulletproof coffee where you're adding a whole lot of butter and fat to it. I guess my concern is that like if you are not like if your head isn't in the game and you're not really focused on trying to transition into a carnivore diet, when you are not in ketosis and you're not you're running on sugar essentially, we've got two fuel sources, sugar and fat, and we can't use them both at the same time. So if you're in a sugar burning mode, you're going to burn sugar. And so if you're adding a whole bunch of fat that you also can't really burn, it kind of leaves you just eating a lot of calories, not able to tap into it, and still having cravings. So you get on this roller coaster, and it's kind of better to just get off, stop frustrating yourself, regroup, and plan for a better day?
Yeah, like I have a cup of coffee some mornings. Lately, I haven't drank any in probably the last like week or week and a half. But
Hmm.
a plain cup of coffee is fine. A cup of coffee with a little bit of cream is probably okay for most people too. Yeah, that bulletproof is like half butter, half coffee for a lot of people, right?
It depends. For some people, yeah, it can be a lot of MCT oil and butter, so it can be high.
Mm.
So it all depends. Okay, so Leonard says, I finally got a continuous glucose monitor. I've been wearing it for 2 weeks and very interesting to see my patterns and how everything affects me, which is very little as I suspected. Interesting. That's awesome. So too bad you didn't have it before to be able to compare like, pre-carnivore and post-carnivore. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
I yeah, yeah. I um I love that. So, how long are you going to wear, Leonard? How long are you going to wear the glucose monitor, and what do you do with the results? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Um, Let's see. LaShawn says the order does not matter. If I do something other than carnivore keto, I will still suffer. Yeah, I mean, for some people, I guess it depends, on the state of your body, but it definitely mattered for me. Um, let's see. Renee says I have issues either way. Once I get a taste of something sweet, it triggers my sweet binge. Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, got it. Ditto. And let's see, forever. Tanya says, "Hey all, good evening. New research is showing that the order matters. A couple of videos were posted on this recently." Oh, okay, cool. Well, glad to know. I mean, I'm not saying that I think like eating dessert now works. I'm just saying like it definitely slowed down. I think it slowed down the speed of the spike of sugar. I don't know if it overall slowed down how high my insulin went, but it slowed down the speed, so I didn't have that hypoglycemia. Because that would happen too, even as a kid. When I would get the pancakes, I'd be up and then down, and and really not feeling great at all. But I didn't want to give up my pancakes either, so. Um,
Mm,
yeah.
you know what? I
Mhm.
was a kid that only for a few years when I was younger experienced sugar rushes. After that, like I reached a point, I want to say partway through elementary school, where I stopped having them. And there were kids in middle school who still had sugar rushes and still like eat too much candy. And after lunch, like the teachers knew, like, all right, this kid's going to be a problem because he's always eating candy at lunch, and I have him the period right after. That
Mhm.
wasn't me. I
Mhm.
couldn't get. I tried like a bunch of pixie sticks, wouldn't do it. I didn't get a sugar rush.
Wow. Yeah, I always did. And not only that, but at 3 o'clock, if I ate lunch at 1 o'clock, and there were times when I would get, go someplace where they had like some kind of good dessert or very carby meal. And if I ate lunch at 1 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, I would be nodding off and like not able to stay awake in front of my computer at work. It would
Hmm.
be that bad. And so, like, I knew there were certain meals that I just couldn't have for lunch because I knew like I could not stay awake. So
I
again, yeah.
I did have that sometimes.
Mhm.
That especially being at work, already being a bit tired, or just don't feel like being there, and um, yeah, getting sleepy. For me, it would be around about 2 to 3 o'clock or so. So I
Mhm.
knew that I couldn't work much past that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, there you go. Sugar matters. Let's see. Mom teacher writer says I've only been meat based for 5 months, so I haven't experimented that much yet. I do realize that if I start with cheese, I feel more snacky than I would otherwise. Yeah. So everybody says
That
that,
makes
man,
sense.
right? Cheese is like you eat it and you just want more. It just makes you eat more of all the things that you're eating it with, or any
Yeah,
dairy, really.
right. Like especially, I don't know. I was gonna say especially the dairy with sugar in it, but no, because it's the proteins too that do it.
Hmm.
Like the addictive
Hmm.
stuff is all through dairy. Period. So yeah, that's gonna be a thing that happens for a whole lot of people. You are not the only one.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And let's see. Johnny G says I visited North Carolina in 2008 from Australia. If you take a break from carnivore, I'd recommend Waffle House. So I am not ever taking a break from carnivore again, just to be clear for everyone. I am not quitting. However, the Waffle House is a great place to go, and even for no food. My one of my cousins met her husband there. We went to a club after. Well, we went to a club, and after it seemed like everybody from the club went to the Waffle House, and and it was more club activities at the Waffle House. So
Sounds
yeah.
about right.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah,
expect I will find myself in a Waffle House again.
Waffle House is a great place.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's quite an entertaining place. Yeah. Okay, LaShawn says I wore a Libra 2 for 2 weeks with interesting results. Okay. So yeah, let us know what those results were. Chris says I have issues with cravings depending on how active I am, it seems. If I'm not very occupied, my cravings are very noticeable. Wait, when you say depending on how active you are, does that mean in terms of like exercise, or you mean like if you're out and about and doing stuff, you're not thinking about food? Uh,
It sounds. I'm thinking that they're saying when they're busy, their cravings aren't so bad, and when they're bored, the cravings are worse.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this is continues to be a challenge for me too, but I'm having to constantly remind myself that eating is not an activity. It's not a hobby. It's not, it's not something that like, while I'm waiting for my next thing to do or the next show to come on, it's not something that I should be doing. Like eating is one thing and one thing only. And that's been, that continues to be a challenge for me. And and I don't know if it's like it's a lifelong habit. And so I don't know if that means like I'm forever gonna be, battling that instinct to occupy my mind, my time with eating.
I do find myself having to tell myself sometimes we're not about to eat. There's no reason
Hmm.
to eat.
Hmm.
You're not actually hungry. Um, or the other night, I had a craving for, and I think I've talked about this before, like sometimes craving for bad food, and then I just eat some bacon and some cheese, and I'm good,
Hmm.
actually satisfied, or just the bacon. But yeah, like more often than not, I just tell myself it's not time to eat.
Yeah, yeah. And I've actually been listening to some Jason Fung videos lately, just to refresh my mind on, what the latest, ideas and thoughts are about fasting. And one of the things he was saying was that, you sort of train your body when to get hungry. And if you eat at 8, 1, and 6, you're going to get hungry at 8, 1, and 6. But if you kind of eat whenever and you don't really have a schedule, you also don't have these normal and predictable rises in ghrelin, which are, the hunger hormone. So you might find that you get hungrier more often, if that makes sense. Or your ghrelin might spike more often because you haven't trained your body that like here's when food is expected and here's when it's not expected.
Mm. So
So
then your ghrelin just says, now? How about now? What about
yeah,
now?
yeah. Or if food is presented or you see it or smell it, then your body's like, oh, now's a good time to, spike this ghrelin. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah. So Chris, tell us. Well, I am curious as to how many people eat regular meals like at regular times, or I mean, some of us, we have work schedules, so you're going to be pretty much forced into regular times, but other people not so much. So let me know. And Rosie, thank you
Yeah,
so much. I'm glad you like my hair. Thank you.
I wonder too. For the record, I'm not a person who eats at regular times at all.
Mhm.
Every day is different.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, so something to think about, something to see.
Do you eat
Uh,
at regular times?
I do not. So I've been trying to, to eat more regularly. I've been trying to do a bunch of different things. Now that there is an outside and a backyard, I am getting up at, right at dawn so that I can watch the sunrise and get whatever benefits are supposed to come from that. So I don't know if my circadian rhythms have gotten into gear or what. I'm sitting outside, getting tan, getting sunlight on my skin, which I think surprisingly is making a big difference. I didn't think that I was going to notice much, but I really do. And yeah, and so now I got to remember to take off my shoes and put them in the ground so I can do the grounding. But haven't really been doing that. Um, but I will get on that. So yeah, so I'm trying to, I'm trying different things, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It works. But I love being outside and yeah, just being outside, even with the flies and other flying things that I don't even know what these things are. Even with that, I'm still, just outside, eating my meals out there, all of it.
Nice. What have you
Hmm.
noticed about the sun, its effects so far?
I think my skin feels better. My eczema seems to be clearing up more. I have,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, I know. Like, wow, yeah. I think I feel probably my circadian rhythms have improved because I do feel like, I'm waking up earlier, I'm ready for sleep earlier, I'm sleeping more soundly. I feel more energetic and yeah. So and well, maybe this is it. More energetic. So I did finally sign up at Planet Fitness. I went today and actually started lifting. So, yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of changes. Finally get over COVID, get back from KetoCon, and now that I'm here, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Let's start. Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Only hard part is my head, it's very tight. They have to make things very tight. And so my head is really hurting. And there's a few pieces of hair that are like stretched so tight. So I can't always
Good.
turn to look, through the mirror. I have to turn my whole body to kind of look to see if I can
Okay.
move into another lane. So as soon as like that relaxes more, I think I'll be able to feel more comfortable working out because like I have to be so careful that I'm not pulling too hard. Um,
So
but
I'm gonna need all y'all to send that new growth some fast
yeah,
growing energy. Get it
yes,
up now.
yeah, yeah. And apparently, so next week, my cousin's friend has a pool, so and is going to be out of town, so I'm going to have access to a pool. So I don't know how that's going to happen with all this, but I'm going to make it happen. So if I have to get a kickboard and just keep my head above water and just kick, and do laps kicking, that is what I'm going to do. But that is going to be awesome.
A bonnet, two shower caps, a swim cap on top of that.
I don't even think that'll work. This is so big. Like I can barely get
Mm.
it into a ponytail. So I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know that was what this was all going to be like, but whatever.
Yep.
So
Still looks good.
thank you. Thank you. So Franklin says I used to drink coffee, but I had to ask myself why I need it. If you drink coffee for energy, you may need to figure out why you don't have energy. Once I stopped, I realized I didn't need it. 100%.
Yep.
100%. Yeah. And if you are one of those people whose cup is like a quarter coffee and three quarters, cream, sweetener, some kind of syrup or whatever, just you don't like coffee, and that's okay. You don't have to drink it. Like if you if you have to put that many things in, you don't like it, and that's okay.
Like we are here for you
Yeah.
and your non-coffee drinking taste buds. Like it's all right. Life will be perfectly fine when you don't
Yeah.
drink coffee. In fact, you might find it easier, less expensive if you're the type to go out to the store and buy it. A lot, not the store, like Starbucks or what was the thing? The place that Deborah used to always go crazy about. Not Harris Teeter. It
Oh,
was another weird.
no, it was a weird name. No,
Yeah,
Tony Vale or something. There was like some
it
coffee
was
place. Yeah,
right. It was like a person's name, but like that stuff
yeah,
was like just about as expensive as Starbucks. Like
yeah,
it's actually life's a lot easier when you don't drink coffee. Believe it or not.
yeah. Yeah, and so much cheaper. I can't believe, like, between Albany and here, how much money I spent buying coffee. I finally
Mm,
cups of coffee. And I finally was like, I can't. I don't want to keep spending money like this on coffee. So I bought a Chemex because that was at Target, that was like 20 bucks. And it's that vase looking kind of glass thing, and you just pour, put the coffee in it and pour hot water over it. So that was the cheapest thing, and I did that because it was just too much, too much.
yeah.
Even cheap bad coffee. At the end of the day, it ends up being a lot.
Yeah.
So let's see. Leonard said I did test my monitor by eating 4 cookies because my levels were so steady in the 80s, even fasting, and it shot to 120 within an hour, and an hour later it was back at the 80s. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. So you're really making progress in terms of healing, healing your body. So fantastic.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
great. Because
yeah.
that went back down. Some people, their blood sugar would have still been going up 2 hours later.
hmm Yeah. I think it depends on, how long you've had diabetes and how, bad a state you're in. So it takes a long time to clear out, all that stored sugar. And until you do, when you have those sheets, you're still going to have that soaring blood sugar.
Hmm.
Um, okay. So Kim, thank you so much. I'm so glad you like the hair. Uh, so Chris says both. I think he was saying, or I was asking the question, whether working out gave him more cravings, or if it was that being out and about kept him from having cravings, but when he was sitting around, or not occupied. So I guess he's saying it's both. If it's if it, I would say like if you're working out and you have more cravings, that means you're hungry and you need more food. So you should eat more. You should just eat. Like it's okay. Anytime I found that anytime I like really had a craving for, sugar or, started thinking about something like that, then to me, that was always a sign I'm just hungry and I just need to eat some food. And then, once I did that, the cravings would subside. But, if you're just home on the couch and you're watching TV or whatever, and you're starting to have those cravings, then, that's kind of more like, you kind of have to question, is this an emotional thing or what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Frank
But
is
any,
super, go ahead.
I was gonna say the way I judge it sounds pretty similar to what you're saying. Just if you actually feel like eating, then go ahead and eat.
hmm
But if the only thing you can imagine eating is a snack, then you're not hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Frank says he eats at 6 a.m., 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and then after the gym. So he's real regimented about it. All right, good for
Super.
you. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, let's see. Natalie says I've been doing low carb to ease into carnivore and have gone 3 days this week without carbs, and I'm retaining so much water in my legs and dealing with constipation. I have no chronic diseases. I don't know. That sounds like an electrolyte problem. Uh,
Three
so
days.
you might want to get yourself some electrolytes and take more. So sometimes I think people are very sparing with them, and you might just need more. That's all. And the constipation is, usually it's a combination of salt, fat, and water. So, if one of those things is off, you can end up with constipation. So, just um, you got to figure out which one of those things is off and then raise it. Yeah. Oh my
It definitely
gosh.
feels like most talk to me.
Hmm. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you like that.
No, it's all right.
Okay. So Mommy Does Keto, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really, really appreciate it. It's the those gifts like that help me to continue to provide lots of free content for everybody who wants to, figure out how to do the carnivore diet and, integrate it into their life. So I encourage you to come, to support, to engage in the chat. And oh my God, there's a ton of people watching. So if you are watching, please hit that like button and click the little bell so you can get notified every time I post new content. But it's important for you to click like so you can tell YouTube that you like content like this, and that so that YouTube will push it forward. And while I'm doing promos, make sure you watch Mr. and Mrs. Carnivore. So, or they're, yeah. Well, I'm calling them Mr. and Mrs. Carnivore. It's easier, easiest. So Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. So theoretically, this is when the episodes will air. So they have put up uh, two episodes thus far, I think. And yeah, and then Saturday they're going to air a third one. I think they're going to talk about mental health. But, it's really interesting to hear from them. They're a married couple. They're both doing this together. They've both had a lot of success. And I really love that, we have an opportunity to hear from other people, and they can, they can present their perspective. I can only offer, my perspective, which is, it's a unique one. So it's awesome that they, decided to produce some shows and to share it. And if you are on Carnivore and you have been doing well and you are interested in producing a show and sharing it, let me know. That might be a good fit, because I would love for this to be something like a channel or a network where you can learn about lots of different carnivores and see, hear from lots of different voices and people with different experiences. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm looking forward to it. I've only seen the first one. I didn't know that they had two dropped already, but I've
Hmm.
been traveling, so
Hmm.
yeah, I get to catch up, and then the new one comes Saturday. It sounds great.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad you're going to watch it. So perhaps we should get back to the other reasons to quit carnivore. So my second reason is if you have a major life event coming up that requires your attention. So there are times, whether it's an illness, someone close to you is very ill, or there's some huge project at work, or just something really big that's occupying your time that makes it hard for you to meal prep, to go to the store, to think about what you're going to eat, and all of that kind of stuff. There are times in life when that happens, and and I think that stressing yourself out. I mean, I think that you're always going to be more emotionally resilient. You're going to feel better. You're going to be able to handle stress better if you are following a carnivore diet. So I do always tell people that. But if you can't get it together, you can't get it together.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
it's easier on you to just lower those expectations and do what you can instead of still trying to follow it when you're inevitably going to fail, or you're really going to be mad that you are doing it because you want to eat whatever the thing is that's around at that event.
Hmm. So have you? I noticed that when I ran for city council, I think I've told everybody, like, I mean, I was obviously under a significant amount of stress, and it was probably. one of the most stressful times of my life. And I, but I was so perfect with my eating because I would feel really bad, like not, guilty, but like physically bad when I ate junk. And so I just was so busy with the campaign, I couldn't afford to lose, 12 to 24 hours of me not feeling good. So it was just like, well, not until the campaign is over will I, eat anything that is gonna, knock me out of ketosis or, start to make me feel bad. Now, if I had known about cheese at that time, I would absolutely have cut it out, and that would have made a huge, huge difference because I
Mhm.
was definitely having a lot of trouble breathing. And now in retrospect, it was 100% the cheese.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Um, okay, so I see a lot of people putting that down their meal times. So a lot of you are not regular with your meals. So interesting. Awesome. And Douglas, thank you so much for the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. Again, this is really helpful and it helps me to continue to build this community and this space and this platform. So, yeah. And I don't know if you saw, so there is a person, Charles Maddox, who he created 2 seasons of the show called Reversed. Like he had diabetes and he wanted to um kind of get to the bottom of understanding like what it is, what it's about, and so on. So he created the show called Reverse, where he like got people, brought them to a lovely island location, and worked with them on diet and exercise so that they could reverse their diabetes. And I think the last season he did was like all keto, and he had, I think, Maria Emmerich there and maybe Ken Berry and some other people. And then he's doing another season and he wants to do carnivore. So he is having a lot of us carnivores go. So I will be there for that, and that'll be super exciting. And the previous shows
Nice.
actually aired on TLC. Yeah, I think that was the channel, but an actual TV channel. Yeah, so he's like a TV guy. So yeah, so hopefully, carnivore will just become much more, normalized, and people will be aware of it. So that's a really big deal. So yeah, your support and of this channel is is really meaningful. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all of you who are here. So thank you. Um, oh, this is interesting. Betsy says, I've been craving wine or some type of iced seltzer and vodka, which is weird because I don't drink and I stay carnivore. Craving's been going on for 1 week. Unsure if I should have a glass or not. So alcohol is like sugar. So that's just that's a sugar craving. It's just in a different format.
It is odd that she would crave sugar in that form when she doesn't drink on a regular basis. And I assume saying I don't drink means that she didn't drink before either.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, to me, that's just a sugar craving. Especially like on a hot day when I'm outside, I'm kind of like, I might be so one summer, I went to Portugal and we had a lovely day at the beach. It was hot, it was out all day, a lot of sun. We went to a restaurant and I don't know if it was the best food in the world in real life, but the experience in the moment was like the best ever. And so everything I had that night just seared in my head as like the pinnacle of wonderful experience. So like the
Mhm.
steak, Portugal, they're all about meat. So that's all it was, which was great with me. So it was like lots of beef, and they have what's the wine called? Like oh my God, it's not Pinot Grigio, it's not Prosecco. It's something starts with a P. but it's kind of like a almost, it's not carbonated, but it's got a bit of a fizzy bite to it. It almost tastes like less sweet lemonade. I mean, and that glass that I had with that steak was so amazing. So thereafter, I always think of that wine as like the pinnacle. So I can imagine where, Betsy is like, like, oh, a glass of wine would be great. Like I'm remembering that glass of wine, and yeah, it would be great. But I know it's all about the sugar because it's a very sweet wine. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's sugar in another form. Um, yeah. So Johnny G says, "Great job, A-Day. Leaving New York City has done you wonders. Sun and gym workouts are the final piece of the puzzle."
Yep. Yep.
You
You
are
know what? I'll
100% right.
I'll add another thing to that. I've wondered if like there was some pollution that you were experiencing in much greater severity in New York than in North Carolina.
Well, I always wonder about molds because the apartment that I lived in was, I mean, it was workmen's houses when it was built 125 years ago. Didn't get better in 125 years. It had
Mm.
all kinds of leaks, so I have to imagine there's like a ton of mold, all around there. And yeah, so I don't know. I definitely feel like, yeah, there's you're definitely losing something being in the city. There's definitely benefits and things to gain, but there's also losses, and I think those were probably pretty significant for me.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things, Johnny G, I had been thinking about was like, it's hard for me like to get any work done outside because of course I can't see the computer screen and it's so hot. My computer gets super hot. So I haven't been able to figure out like how to work outside. But I thought, if we had like a gym or if we had weights and stuff and I put them outside, I could work out at noon in the sun. But that's not working right now. So we'll have to we'll have to come back to that. And yes, I soon will be grilling. I have not done that yet, but soon, very soon. Yeah. Um, oh, Paulette says, Ada, you should pre-medicate before braiding and every 6 hours until your scalp hair become one. Uh, yes, Paulette, thank you. I wish I had that information before, because yes, I will definitely do that next time. Oh, yeah. Johnny G says 2 cups of coffee here is like my ground beef budget for the day, right? Actually, you get
Yeah.
2 Starbucks and like that's your food for the day. So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Monkey Shredder music is my solace. I love that handle. Um, I just read that because I love the handle. Um, hey guys, respect and greetings to you both, King and Queen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Tim Hortons, that was it.
Yeah.
Betsy.
I knew it was like it just sounded like a random white dude's name. It's totally what that is.
I know. I was thinking Tony Hale. No, Tony Evans. No, that's not quite right. Tim
Tim
Hortons.
Horton.
Yeah, yeah. Um, okay. So, let's see. My third thought about when to quit carnivore. I think that, so I think when you do anything, it is really important to treat it like an experiment and to the best of your ability, do some testing before and after, or have some benchmarks that you can actually judge your progress by. And if you're not making progress, you consider quitting. And I think a lot of times, people like have family and friends and people around them who are like, oh my God, you can't do this, you can't do that, this, and people just chatting in your ear. And I think one of the best ways to shut them down is to say, I'm going to do this experiment. I did these tests beforehand, and in 3 months or 2 months or a month, I'm going to repeat these tests, and then I'll know, definitively whether this has been helpful or harmful.
It's a good idea. So then,
Hmm.
are you saying quit if you need a plan, or you need a period of you need a control period before you really start the experiment?
No, I'm saying like if you do the experiment and you have some markers and your health markers are not improving, um,
Mm,
I mean, I'm not saying that you're going to see that very often, but I imagine, I don't know, there may be somebody for whom things don't get better or they have something bigger going on. And I do try to remind people carnivore is, it's not going to make you bulletproof. You are not immortal. You will still die. You will still get sick even. Things happen. Our bodies are not perfect. So, you may still have an illness. You may still have a very serious illness. I think that carnivore will help. It will help you to feel stronger and better and let your body do what it needs to do, but it doesn't mean that there isn't, that you couldn't have something else going on. So, so if things aren't getting better, you do have to go to the doctor. You do have to kind of investigate and see what's going on.
yeah, definitely. Carnivore, I feel like it can cure and does cure a lot of things. It does not cure all, though.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And it's interesting, like in the early days of carnivore, when I was listening to people, put out their videos and stuff, a lot of people were talking about digestive problems. And there were people who had SIBO or other kind of parasites and problems that it took a long time to resolve that and more than just a dietary change. I mean, there were definitely people who talked about getting fecal transplants, like significant things. So, carnivore does not cure all. Hmm.
Yeah, I've heard about fecal transplants, and I've thought
Hmm.
about that as a thing that maybe people who are really having a hard time with their digestion to do, and then do carnivore.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Southern Girl says self pep talk when I get a craving. Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. Yeah. And I like, nothing tastes as good as feeling good. So that is really the switch that finally flipped in my head, where it was just like, this cake doesn't taste as good as feeling bad for, another 48 hours. Like it just isn't worth it. So, Leanna, yes, this will be available for replay. So go, yeah, follow, subscribe to my channel and go, you'll be able to go right back and watch it from the beginning. Um, oh, okay, let's see. Yeah, Chris is saying that it's boredom that spikes his cravings. I guess we need to do an episode on that because everyone, that's a challenge for everybody, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. You think boredom specifically, or just the different things that trigger cravings?
Well, I mean, he's using the word boredom, which I think, can be a lot of things. But like if you're watching TV, you might be watching a show that's actually not that interesting to you, and so it's not captivating your attention fully. But you're also being, you know, targeted and with ads and whatnot, and so you're seeing pictures of food and whatever is being sold to you. So you're not. So when you're like at least when you're watching TV and bored, you're not just bored, you're also being marketed to simultaneously. So if you were just in your house and, the TV wasn't on, you weren't in the kitchen, there was no sign of food, I don't know, you might not have the same cravings. But you know what I'm saying? Like marketing is a lot more insidious than we give it credit for, and it does a lot to,
Yeah.
to drive your behavior. Um, I mean, and it works, which is, why they spend billions of dollars doing it. So it works, whether or not we like
Yep.
to think so.
Yeah. I have definitely felt it working on me. I have felt myself the desire to go into the kitchen or go out and buy something. And I think back like, oh, 5 minutes ago, I saw a commercial for something or somebody on TV was
Hmm.
eating something.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Um, Douglas says you need a Cash App so your YouTube doesn't take 30% of your donations. That is an excellent point, Douglas. I do have a Cash App. I should put a tip jar in the description, but it's my Cash App is my name. It's a dollar sign Ede Fox, Edefox. So thank you for bringing that up. Um, yeah. So let's see. Paulette says coffee is an appetite suppressant for me most of the day. Yeah, it can be for some people. I don't know. For me, it is until it makes me kind of. I guess I don't know. I'm pretty sensitive to the caffeine, so it can make me nauseous, and I don't know.
For me, it's a huge suppressant.
Yeah, Johnny G is so sweet. He says your beard looks very good, so you don't feel left out because of all the compliments I'm getting. Oh, you're so sweet. That
Thank
is
you,
so
Johnny.
awesome. Yeah. Okay, and Frank says, "Thank you so much for the super chat, Frank. I really appreciate it." And he says, "I call it protein dosing. I used to do OMAD, but eating 2 pounds of meat at one time wasn't working for my goals. Since I stopped fasting and spacing out my meals, I've gotten leaner and stronger." That's
Mm,
awesome. That's so awesome to hear because Frank, I was talking to you around the time that you were doing OMAD and then you kind of switched to having multiple meals and you were still kind of working out your rhythm. So that is awesome. And I know a lot of people love doing OMAD and stuff. And I think for me, I decided I don't like the feeling of having had a large meal. I don't know
yeah.
if that makes sense. So I decided not to do that. Now, I could do one meal a day and just have that one meal be the size that it would normally be, and then, just fast until the next time I'm hungry. But yeah, I think I'm not sure that 2 pounds of meat at one time that anybody does well with that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's people doing it, but yeah, I can see why you would be like, let me take a break from that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be good for most people, especially 2 pounds at one time. That's a lot to try to digest at once. And yeah,
Hmm.
I'm just like you. Like yesterday, I had cheeseburgers for my first meal, and I ate. And I put bacon on them. So I tried to eat two.
Hmm.
I got about one and a half down, and then made myself eat the other half, and
Hmm.
it was not worth it.
Hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
not a good feeling.
Yeah. I ditto. I mean, in the beginning, I was trying to do that, and that was why I was having so much trouble, because it's a lot of protein to digest, and when I think in the beginning I didn't have the stomach acid to be able to do it, and I don't know. Even now, I probably wouldn't feel super comfortable doing it.
Yeah, I know I couldn't.
Hmm. Yeah. So let's see. And then the final thing. I think that one might need to quit carnivore if you're not willing to do what needs to be done. So, I feel like I do get comments from people who are, they're not, they don't really want to eat beef. They don't really want to eat fat, and that doesn't work. What do you think?
Who are these people? What's the situation? 'Cause I'm not understanding.
I There are people who want to try carnivore but don't want to eat beef necessarily, and they don't want to eat high fat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't even just let it go. Like if you're gonna try to be carnivore and only eat like chicken and fish, I don't see how that's gonna work out for you.
Yeah. But I get that
Um,
all the time from people. And I do think some of it is coming from people who are, have recently switched from being, vegan or vegetarian. They still have like emotional or political reasons for not wanting to eat meat, even though they know it makes them feel better. And that is, kind of messing it up.
yeah.
Hmm.
In those cases, that's why with certain people that I've coached, I've just tried to tell them like you just eat more of these things. That's where the more, less, and none of came from. Like
Hmm.
because I know that trying to convert somebody from sad, especially that guy that I made that note
Hmm.
for, he was drinking like uh, the Wawas sell I think like 32-ounce sodas, and he was drinking two
Hmm.
of those every day. One at breakfast, one at lunch. Like
Oh my God.
yeah, like we're just gonna get you to cut sugar. It's not
Yeah.
important that you eat only meat. Just
Yeah.
this amount of sugar has to stop. And
Hmm.
yeah, at that point, like if I would have, most people at that point probably aren't going to have, like you said, the digestive system that would be able to live on just meat. Like they're probably, they wouldn't be able to process it all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think you got to start slow or just work on, for some, especially the ones that can't do red meat at all, just being able to process it, period.
Hmm.
Like one time a day in a small dosage, let
Hmm.
alone here's a pound of steak. This is your lunch.
Hmm. And keto is not a bad choice. Like, I think keto is super helpful for a lot of people. So, if you're not ready to like make the leap and like dive into all meat, and lots of fat, that's okay. Now, with keto, you're getting some carbs, and so you don't need as much fat because some of your energy is coming from sugar and some is coming from fat. I mean, it's a small amount, from sugar. I mean, you're eating less than 50 grams of carbs a day, probably closer to 30. But it still is some. So that I think helps for some people who aren't ready to really eat high fat. That little bit of carbs helps them. So, if that's the case, like, there's no shame in keto. Keto has been wonderful for a lot of people.
Yeah. And there's different ways to do keto. You can do keto where you're basically eating meat and green vegetables, and at that point, your
Mhm.
carb numbers are going to
Mhm.
be way low. Um, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with being a person like I think Tony Hampton does this still, where he is mostly carnivore, but he'll still have berries sometimes or
Mhm.
other things every once in a while. But for the most part, he's carnivore. You can do that.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So it's okay. Yeah. Anna, welcome. So glad you joined us for the live. It's lunchtime where she is in the future. She's in Australia, so she's in tomorrow. Um, and Johnny G is right. The best thing to beat a craving is 5 minutes of intense exercise. 100% agree.
Hmm.
Hmm. And Trevor, this is so awesome to hear. Trevor says, carnivore for 4 months now. I have vitiligo and my skin color is filling back in. That is fantastic. And so, if anybody else is watching, I hope, Trevor, you saw the podcast interview I did with this guy in, where was he from? Like, Serbia? No, I don't know. Somewhere over there. And we did this interview, and he has vitiligo, and he was able to show pictures where his color was filling back in just by eating carnivore. So, for any of you, if you know someone with that condition, or have it yourself, definitely check out that video. It's a little bit hard to follow because he had a very strong accent and he wasn't super good at English, but it's still worth doing. And it was lovely to speak to him and to get to know somebody from like a completely different part of the world.
Awesome.
Um, Oh, and this is perfect. So Mona says, when I feel the urge to consume sweets, I binge watch carnivore videos and it encourages me to stay on track. I love hearing others' success stories. Yes, yes, that is exactly what you want to do. Surround yourself by the community of people who are having success with this way of eating, who can give you insight or just plain old encouragement. Yes. What do you say to that, Arian? What would you say?
I think it's a great idea. We know that part of the reason that community works so much is that we mirror the people that we're around. So, yeah, watch the videos, and then you can see yourself in those stories, in those other people, and you can say, well, they're doing it. They were doing it then. I see what success they had. I want that too. So
Hmm.
I'm going to make the better decision.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, get community. And I was thinking about starting a like there are certain platforms that you can use to build community that's not on Facebook, because I know there's a lot of people that don't want to be on Facebook, and I want to open this to everyone. So I am considering doing that. So keep your eyes out for me. So this would be open to all people who are interested in joining, and it would be not on Facebook, because a lot of people hate Facebook. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, there's a good number that can't
Yeah,
stand it. I know
yeah.
I basically only engage with Facebook groups, and that's made it a lot more enjoyable for me, but a lot of
Hmm.
people don't want to deal with it at all.
I mean, I think Facebook groups are super helpful, but I still hate like being on the platform. I find like I go to look at one thing, somehow I'm in a different place. I don't know how I got there. I can't find the messages I'm looking for, and just I don't know. And then I can't find the things that I don't know. Facebook, I feel like, is always changing how you get to things and how you access things. So I never feel like I know how to get what I'm looking for. So it's frustrating.
Hmm.
Yeah. Chris, I think you're right. You were saying to Susie that if people say they're avoiding red meat, um, yeah, people interchange the word beef and red meat, I think, all the time. So when I say to people, you don't have to eat beef, you can eat lamb, you can eat goat, you can eat bison, elk. But I feel like for people who don't want to eat red meat, like talking about bison is not going to help this. It's not going to help. They're going to be
Yeah.
like, what? What? No. So yeah. And Anna says, after 18 months of carnivore, I just find fasting has become so easy. I skip a day if I'm really busy. If I have an 8 ball after work and get home late, I just skip a meal and sleep. No issues. So,
So,
Anna, I don't know if you know what an 8 ball means in America.
yo, getting the eight ball after work. and
That
then
will
said,
take
I
away
mean,
your appetite. It will take away your
yeah, hey,
appetite, but you
I
will
wasn't
not be
hungry. That's
sleeping.
stupid too.
You will not be sleeping.
8 ball?
Hmm. Yeah. But I
Wow.
assume that means I don't know. She meant something else. So she's doing great. She's after 18 months of carnivore and fasting, she's doing great, and fasting is working well for her. I'm going to assume that is what Anna meant.
Anna, what you into? What's happening in New Zealand?
Yeah. I don't know. Don't do 8 balls after work though. That's not going to be that's not going to help your carnivore journey. I
Yeah.
that should be number 5. If you are doing 8 balls after work, carnivore is not your top priority. Yeah. Okay, so Susie says I hadn't eaten beef or pork for over 30 years, so it took a while for me to transition over to eating both. Yeah, I mean, it's real, it's real. And I mean, I don't want to like, not show respect. I get that that is a challenge for people. It is going to be hard to kind of go from being, totally vegetarian to being carnivore. But the reality is, if you try to do it without beef, it just doesn't work. And so, that's when I'm trying to have that conversation with people and they don't want to do the beef. It's kind of like, or some kind of red meat. Then it's kind of like, if you're not going to do that, then you should do keto, because you're not going to feel well. Like you're going to have other stuff to make up for the fact that you're not having beef, or you're not going to feel the best that carnivore, offers. Oh, Anna says, "Oh, I play competitive pool." Oh my God, I just played in the New Zealand Masters. Okay, so that means something completely different.
See, yeah, I just be talking and assuming that we understand what you say. You said if I have 8 ball after work, and I understand now exactly what that means because you called the activity 8 ball as opposed to saying if I have to play 8 ball. Whereas I'm like, 8 ball, I have an 8 ball after work? That's how you living?
Uh, when I lived in the Netherlands, I knew this woman. She was Irish, and she had a
When did
funny
you live
way.
in the
I tell everybody knows. I lived in Amsterdam for 3 years. From
Oh,
2000 to
Netherlands. Okay. Yeah.
2003, right, the Netherlands. But at the where I worked, there was a woman who was Irish, and she had, that like funny Irish accent, and had all of these funny sayings. But she was telling me that she had been working in Chicago, and this was like in the late '90s, and was hanging out with a bunch of coworkers, and it was a fun night. And apparently, in Ireland, when you like the vibe, and you've got a nice cozy vibe, the word for that is crack. So she said to the group, "Oh, I'm having such a good time. I really like the crack here." And this, now mind you, this was in the '90s. So nobody said anything, but everyone was kind of like, ah, and they stopped talking to her. So she was like, no one talked to her. She couldn't figure out what was going on. Why didn't we call her back? And I was like, oh, yeah, words mean different things in different places.
Yeah. I like
Yeah,
the crack here.
and during the crack epidemic, don't talk about liking crack.
Nah, you better
Uh-huh.
say the real word.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Um, okay, so let's see. Mommy Does Keto says I don't do Facebook or Instagram. Yep. So thinking we need a space or a place that is not on this social media, because not everybody likes it. Hmm. Yeah. And Franklin says absolutely no reason not to eat red meat. If you're scared of red meat, you have allowed yourself to be brainwashed. We've all been brainwashed, and we're all in a state of decolonizing our minds. and different people are in different places, and and it's hard to unbrainwash yourself, or or to discover the truth. And I guess I felt like I've kind of felt like eventually the truth will come out and the truth will be plain to see. But um, I'm beginning to see that that's never going to happen. And I don't know that people necessarily even want truth. And confusion is profitable. Clarity is not profitable. So I don't know that there's any reason for there ever to be um, any unity or clarity about food. Like, we just are going to have to experience it and share it and get as many people as possible to try it, and that's kind of the only way it's going to happen. It's not going to happen any other way. And now
Yeah.
I'm like surprised at how the in the vegan community they've come up with this statement that keto causes diabetes, and I'm just like, how how are you saying this? I really don't understand. But we are living in a world where alternative facts are a thing, and I don't know that we're ever going to get clarity. You just kind of are going to have to decide you're going to try it or you're not going to try it.
So you're thinking about a like universal clarity.
I mean, just a moment where, I mean, I guess I'm thinking about a moment where, the scientists say, oh man, we really got this wrong. Look, there are all these studies. You're right. The studies make it clear a keto diet is a safer alternative, and this will reverse diabetes, and you don't have to take metformin anymore. I thought that at some point we might get there. And now I don't think that's ever going to happen. That we're just going to continue to have a lot more confusion, and and for the authorities or the people who are willing to support a keto diet, they're going to look for ways to make money off of it. And if there's not a way to make money off of it, they're not going to talk about it. So,
Yeah.
and carnivore is, I think, really hard to make money off of because, it there's not a lot of processed food. I mean, other than like jerky, there's not a lot of processed foods.
Yeah. Um, I think carnivore is it's actually anti-capitalist,
Mhm.
and it's anti-establishment. It's what you're talking about, or at least my vision of it, like where all of us know, and the authorities have said, and we all, like, we may not choose to follow it, but we all know what the actual best diet is, and it is not plants. It is
Mhm.
meat. The more
Mhm.
meat you have, the better your diet is. Everybody realizing that, that's the overthrow of society. Like, that's not coming until the end of times, because that is the end of. There's no way, like you said, capitalism does not work with an all meat diet. A lot of our infrastructure does not need to exist, and a lot of people who are making money don't make money anymore.
Mhm. Yeah. Um Sawa says they will raise the meat price if government gets involved. I'm scared about that. Uh, I am thinking that we're already going to see a significant rise in meat prices. I mean, I try to stay away from the conspiracy world, but there have been a lot of farmers and stuff posting video like your meat price is about to like quadruple. And I mean, strictly speaking, like just the cost of transporting meat, the gas prices alone has got to have an impact on the actual, end price of the product. So I don't know. I mean, I think that we're going to see some significant rises in food costs in general, and meat in particular. So get to
Shoot, yeah,
fasting,
I'd
y'all.
rather
Get to
try one.
fasting.
There
We
you
may
go.
need it.
Just just eat less. But yeah, I'm already feeling the higher prices now. I was just at the store and did not buy any meat because all of it was too expensive.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Um, and Sawa also asked about if I'd heard of Discord. Yes, and I am a part of some Discords, but I feel like it is. I'm concerned that as a platform, it is for some people, it's a little too different and not easy to use. So. Uh, there are others that are like Facebook, but not Facebook. So I don't know. I'm going to look into it and haven't decided what exactly. And let's see. Susie says it's really hard to deprogram from all of the misinformation and step out of the agendas. I'm grateful for the space and the support here. Yeah. I don't know. I don't feel a lot of, I guess I don't feel a lot of hope. Um, I really don't. I think things are just gonna get worse, and I feel sorry for the kids of this generation. Like I feel like they're raised in like the worst possible environment, and I can't imagine how excellence comes out of that, and all the best of what humans can be can come out of you know malnutrition, obesity, and all of that.
It's a crappy time, and they will get crappier the time as well.
Hmm. Yeah, Robin is with me. I think as long as big pharma is in our politicians' pockets, we'll never get there. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
100% right. You're 100% right. Unless, and this is something that I said at KetoCon, because other people, I'm not the only, doomsayer out there, and other people raise the issue. But one of the questions that was asked on the carnivore panel was, what can we do? And I said that I think we need to create a lobbying firm. I mean, not a firm, but a lobbying group that is specifically about organizing us as a group and raising money and electing politicians that are specifically supporting a meat agenda and getting those people into Congress. I mean, all of the electeds, the politicians are going to respond to money first. So, we have to have some. Now, we're not going to be able to necessarily compete with like big pharma, but we vote. So if we can get, if we can organize the votes and get people elected, that makes a very big difference. That does push back against money.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So, yeah, Frank is saying buy all your meat local if you can. That's what you got to do. Yes, 100%. I totally agree. MJ Dolly Me says, I won't buy anything else at all that I don't need. Devote all my wherewithal to meat. They'll not break me. Yes, I'm not, no matter what the cost of meat, I'm not going back to eating pasta or ramen or anything like that. So I'm with you. It definitely may mean a lot of other things don't get bought, and more fasting is introduced. Yeah. So Johnny G says lobbyists will buy your freedom and choice for cents on the dollar from the politicians. Well, we have to create our own lobby, our own association, and so on. So yeah, but yes, I mean, people are people, right? And Zinga says, let them eat cake versus let them eat steak. Yes, yes. Um, Tim Nam says Cornel West is a great take on hope versus faith. Yeah, I definitely need to take a look at that because I am not feeling hopeful, not at all. And Sawa says, for my career path, I want to restore humanity, starting with nutrition. I agree with you. I'm here for you, and I am, we're here doing the same thing. Yeah. So, and we don't know. I don't know. I don't know how. All I know to do is get out here and talk about it and create space for people to talk about it. Yeah. Oh, and fun thing. I touched base with Kelly Hogan today, and she's going to be on the podcast. So that's going to be really
Oh, cool.
cool. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, let's see. Anna gives Anna's going to close us out with a wonderful success story. She says her friends are getting really interested in how she eats because she's lost 60 pounds, and having it stay off for over a year means that that she's doing something right. And so they're now more interested than critical. So that is encouraging.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love to hear that, and that's a little hope. So I'm going to take that piece of hope and say thank you and thank
And
you.
that gives me that's the hope that I have, is that I've stopped expecting the change to come from the top down. It I think it's going to be bottom up. I think it's going to be word of mouth. If um, the Diabetes Association and whoever else starts to wise up, then okay, great. But it's still going to be corrupted in some way. Like you said, they're going to go to keto. They're going to perfect fake meat or something. There's going to be a way to commodify health again, and it won't actually be healthy because it can't be.
Hmm. Yeah, and figure out how to keep us on drugs. That's the
Yeah.
goal.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. There'll be new things that we need to treat. But anyway, so this was a great conversation. I hope you got some ideas about when you should quit carnivore and when you should keep going. I hope this was motivating to you. There's a lot of new people in this who are getting started. So, congratulations on getting started. Keep coming back. Stick with it. When you get on the other side, it is fantastic. It really is an amazing way of eating, and you feel amazing. So thanks everybody for being here. Make sure to tune in on Saturday for Mr. and Mrs. Carnivore. And yeah, we'll speak soon.
Good night, guys.
All right. Good night.